Hi, my name is Betty, and I'd like to tell you my story. I was your regular teenager, living with my parents and my sister. Daisy was younger than me by 1 year, and she was the most annoying brat I had ever known. She got on my nerves every single day, and to make it worse, she always got away with whatever she wanted. Why, you might ask? Well, because my parents always loved her more than they did me, and they always took her side. If we argued, then they thought she was the victim. If she asked for something I wanted, guess who got it? Always Daisy. When we were younger, she'd sneak into my room and steal my clothes, as well as my makeup and jewelry without even asking. So, for example, I'd select an outfit for school, wanting to look super cute, and I'd wake up to discover she had taken it. And if I needed to take a shower urgently in the morning, she stayed there for an entire hour. I always showered with cold water because she hogged up all the hot ones. I was so annoyed by everything she did, and she seemed to be happier whenever she saw me angry. Plus, Mom never asked her to do any of the chores around the house, instead forcing me to deal with all that extra work. It was so annoying, and I didn't understand why she got a free ride when I had to deal with my parents and all those chores. Well, one day, I was searching for a scarf Mom agreed to lend me for a school play when I discovered a diary in Mom's room. I was so curious, and of course, I decided to read a bit of it. Okay, it might not be respectful of Mom's privacy, but I couldn't help myself. It was kind of an old diary, so I figured it was okay. What I discovered there shocked me. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My sister wasn't my sister at all. Instead, she was the daughter of Mom's sister. Aunt Cecilia had died when I was a toddler, and I didn't remember a thing about her. The diary described how Mom and Dad had taken in Daisy after Cecilia passed away in a sudden car accident and decided to raise her as their own. That sort of made sense all of a sudden. Daisy and I looked nothing like each other, and perhaps Mom felt bad about my cousin being an orphan, so she always treated her far better than she did me. It didn't mean I was okay with it, though. I mean, I was the real daughter and deserved not to be bossed around and treated like a second-class citizen, you know? I needed to be sure this was true, so I waited for Mom and Dad to arrive from work and confronted them both. "Is Daisy my real sister?" They looked so shocked and immediately asked me. "What are you speaking about, Betty?" Mom asked. "I read your journal, Mom. I know Daisy is not my real sister. She's adopted," I replied, furious that they would play dumb that way. After all these years, I deserved to know the truth. Mom sighed and nodded, finally giving up. She admitted it all to me. "Your aunt passed away, and Daisy was just a tiny baby. I didn't want her to suffer the loss of her mom, so we took her in and adopted her as our own. She deserved to have a real family, honey," Mom explained. "That's why she's always been your favorite?" I asked, and Mom and Dad were clearly shocked by my accusation. "We love you both the same," Dad replied, but I wasn't having it. I was so angry and began screaming at them about all the times they had taken her side. Mom hugged me tightly and tried to get me to calm down. "Look, Betty, we felt so sorry for Daisy, and that's why we gave her extra attention. But we'd never love either of you more than the other." I didn't think it was fair. I was their real kid, and they always made me feel like an outcast, or at least, that was the way I saw it. So I decided enough was enough. I was going to let my bratty sister know the truth, so she would finally stop believing she was better than me. I barged into her room and snapped the cell phone right out of her hands. "Hey, what are you doing?" she yelped, and I smiled at her cruelly, suddenly screaming. "You're adopted." "What?" she asked, stunned. "Yeah, your mom died and my parents adopted you. You're just my cousin, nothing else," I told her, and I still didn't think it was fair I was their actual kid. I went to my sister and told her the truth. She started to cry so hard. I felt sort of bad for Daisy, but at the same time, I had been holding a grudge for so long that I thought she deserved it. So after that day, things sort of got better. My sister didn't bug me as much, and I felt better about this whole mess. However, since Mom and Dad continued to treat her so well, I soon grew angry at her again. I began taking it out on her and rubbing it in her face that we weren't really sisters at all. "You're adopted," I cried at her one day. "You shouldn't even be here." That was when Mom caught me mistreating Daisy, and I've never seen her so angry. She told me to go into her bedroom at once and sat down to give me a good talking to. "Why are you doing this to your sister?" she asked, both angry and sad by what she had just seen. "She's not my sister. She's nothing to me," I protested, holding on to my grudge so stubbornly. "We aren't related, and I don't want to treat her like she's something to me." "I think it's time you know the truth, honey," she told me. "You don't have to be related to be family." "That's BS, Mom," I protested. "I'm your real daughter. I should be the one you treat better." "You see, Betty, you're both adopted." "What?" I screamed, and she nodded calmly. "Yes, your mom and I wanted so badly to have a child, but I had a really hard time getting pregnant. We visited the doctor and he explained I would likely never be able to either. So we decided to adopt a child, and that child was you, Betty." I was so stunned, unable to believe what I was hearing. So we were both adopted. I had been so cruel toward Daisy, and that was unfair. I felt so bad and finally managed to let go of the nasty grudge I had been holding on to for so long. We had both lost our birth parents, and our mom and dad had taken us in, given us a new family. They loved us both so much and I thought Daisy was their favorite. I was starting to realize it was all in my head. I had been conceited and selfish and felt so bad about it. That night, I went into my sister's room and apologized for everything I had said to her. "You are my sister, no matter if we're related by blood or not," I told her, and we hugged tightly. "I'm so sorry, Daisy." "Of course I forgive you," she said, and from that day on, we were the best of friends, even if she sometimes still steals my makeup. So do you get along well with your brothers and sisters? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.
Hi, my name is Hannah, and I'm facing a big problem. I'd love for this story to begin on a happy note, but that would be a lie. When I was just 16, something terrible happened. But before I go on, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more awesome videos. You see, I've always loved playing the piano and participated in several after-school activities, including recital nights. And I was so excited when my teacher finally told me I'd be getting a solo. So you can imagine that I genuinely wanted my mom to be there. She was my biggest fan, and she showed up every single time I had a special recital. That night, though, she was going to leave work later than usual, and she was rushing toward my school, paying more attention to the clock than to the streets. I wish I had told her it was fine to miss just one recital, but I didn't. I insisted she had to be here. I threw a tantrum, and because of that, Mom got into a terrible accident. I remember being so mad at her while I played the piano, thinking that she was just late. I was fuming, and yet, the instant I finished my piece, the look on my teacher's face told me something was wrong. "Honey, I need to speak to you," she said, pulling me aside. "It's your mom. She was involved in a car accident." My entire world crumbled down that instant. I was heartbroken. You can't even begin to understand the pain that losing one of your parents like that can cause you. The thing is, Mom didn't die. She was rushed to the hospital, but the doctors didn't think there was anything that they could do about her condition. Mom was in a deep coma, and though she was still breathing, I didn't know if she'd ever wake up. I loved my mom so much, and after that terrible tragedy, I didn't think I would ever be able to feel better ever again. Time went by, and bit by bit, I began to notice the sun still shone in the sky, that I could still be happy even though I truly missed my mom. I visited her at the hospital 3 times a week, and I read her stories like she did when I was a child. I held on to hope that she'd come back to us, wake up one day. But Dad, well, Dad was never the same. He began drinking so much, ruining everything. Instead of taking care of me, making me feel safe, he just started going out every single night, and he'd come back super drunk, tumbling up the stairs and snoring well into the morning. He never cooked me breakfast or took care of me. In fact, for months, he didn't even talk to me. So instead of being the teenager in my house, I began to do everything just to stay afloat. I cleaned, I cooked, and I woke up Dad so he wouldn't miss work. It was so bad, I can't even begin to describe it. But instead of breaking down, I became stronger, more determined to graduate and become everything my mom would have wanted me to be. I couldn't believe my dad was such a slacker, and that instead of getting worried about me, he just drank his pain away. It was unfair, but I soon realized that arguing with him only made things worse. Most of the time, I was all alone at my house with no adult supervision. But I didn't mess up. I imagined Mom was there and acted the way Mom taught me to. About a year later, I began dating this amazing guy, one of the neighborhood boys. He was just a few months older than me, and though we didn't go to the same school, we had known each other since we were kids. He was there when I needed him the most, and our friendship slowly but surely turned into more. Our first kiss was amazing, and I felt like I could truly trust him. His name was Lance, and he was the first person I told about how much my dad had changed. I was too embarrassed to tell my other friends about how my dad was useless now and a complete drunk. Lance was there for me every step of the way. He protected me when I felt scared and helped me clean up when the chores at home got too hard for me to handle on my own. He was my rock, really, and I don't know what I would have done without him. Though I still missed my mom so much and visited her frequently. I was starting to get used to my new life. One night, though, something changed, and certainly not for the better. I was sleeping soundly when something woke me up. It was a strange sound I found oddly familiar. Someone breathing close to me. I opened my eyes and saw a dark figure sitting there, right next to me on my bed. I almost screamed, but then the figure spoke, and I realized it was just my dad. Truth be told, I was really scared, but tried to push those worries away and asked what happened. Why he was watching me sleep. "I have a present for you," he explained, and he turned on the dimmer lights in my room. I smiled, thinking that perhaps he was ready to make amends and finally be the dad I needed him to be. It was such a beautiful necklace, and I thanked my dad profusely. I was so relieved and wondered if things would go back to normal after that. Still, there was something about this whole situation that made me feel uneasy. For some reason, I couldn't comprehend. The very next night, Lance and I were watching a movie on the sofa when a romantic scene came on screen. I looked at my boyfriend and we smiled at each other. It was so sweet. So he leaned in to kiss me, and that was when I heard my dad barking behind us. "Get out of my house, you little punk!" He snapped at Lance so violently it shocked me to my very core. What was going on? I started to cry and asked him why he was so mean. He was clearly drunk, so I didn't want to listen to anything he had to say. Rushing up to my room, I closed the door behind me and cried myself to sleep. The very next morning, I heard a soft knock on my door. I looked up and hesitated, but figured my dad wanted to apologize. I didn't know if I wanted to listen to his justifications, but sighed and told myself he was the only family I had left. So I told him to come in. Dad apologized profusely and then approached my bed. I thought he was going to sit down so we could talk, but instead, he laid by my side so creepily. I didn't feel comfortable with that at all. And much to my shock, he began explaining why he got so mad the previous night. "I've liked you for such a long time," he said, making me stare at him with horror. "I can't possibly love you as my daughter. You're so special, so beautiful." I felt a cold shiver running up and down my body, and I immediately leaped away from him, away from my bed. I didn't even feel safe in my own bedroom any longer. "Don't take it the wrong way, honey. You see, you were adopted when you were a toddler, so we're really not related." He tried to justify his disgusting feelings, but it only made it worse. This was the way he told me I wasn't his real daughter? I was absolutely shocked and burst into tears, rushing out the door. Immediately after getting away from that disgusting pig, I ran to my boyfriend's house, and he was so worried about me. Imagine the state I arrived at his doorstep in, trembling, whimpering, and barely able to speak at all without sobbing. After he got me a tall glass of water and helped me calm down a bit, I managed to tell him everything that happened. He was as shocked as I had been and told me I should leave the house that very day. As we sat there talking, my cell phone rang, and I was stunned to notice it was a call from the hospital. The nurse taking care of my mom told me she'd woken up. I was so happy, of course, but then I realized I had to make a decision. Should I tell my mom everything that horrible man did, or should I keep it a secret? I don't want to upset her. What if she gets sick again? What would you do? Please let me know in the comments. I really need your advice.